Christmas Eve turned cruel when my husband walked in with another woman. She mocked me, "Are you the nanny?" And he grinned. I smiled back and told her I'm his wife, this cabin's owner and his boss. Their faces dropped. Why? Christmas Eve turned cruel the second the front door swung open and cold air rushed in, carrying laughter I didn't recognize. I was standing at the kitchen counter with my hands buried in dishwater, trying to scrub a burned pot clean because the cabin's old stove ran hot and uneven. I looked up to see Daniel in the doorway, snow on his shoulders, a wine bottle in one hand, and a woman at his side like she belonged there. She wore a shiny red coat that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. Her lips were already curled like she'd been practicing for this. "Oh my God," she said, scanning me from my wet hair to my faded sweatshirt. "Are you the nanny?" Daniel chuckled. Not a nervous chuckle. A real one. It was a good joke. Something in me went quiet. Not hurt, not angry yet. Just empty in a way that made everything sharp. I turned off the faucet, dried my hands slowly on a dish towel that had seen better years, and leaned back against the counter. I felt the weight of the whole place behind me. The pine walls I'd sanded myself, the cracked window I'd taped last month, the smell of cinnamon from the cheap candles I lit to pretend this holiday was still ours. "No," I said, and my voice sounded steady even to me. "I'm the wife who owns this cabin. I'm the one who signs his paychecks. And I'm the one who just pulled the pin on his perfect little life." Her smirk blinked out like a light. Daniel's grin froze halfway. It was almost funny how fast they both changed. Their faces dropped because I wasn't supposed to say that part out loud. I wasn't supposed to be the one holding the card. For a second nobody moved. The cabin's heat kicked on with a groan. The fairy lights I'd strung along the mantel flickered. I could hear my own heartbeat, not racing, just loud. I wasn't shaking. I'd already done my shaking months ago. Daniel found his voice first. "Claire, what the hell is this?" I stared at him. 6 feet tall, handsome in the safe way that gets compliments from waitresses and moms at school pickup. His hair was longer than I liked now, a little messy on purpose. He had that look he used when he wanted to make me doubt myself, like I was acting wild again. I used to fall for it, especially in the years when every bill felt like a reminder that I should be grateful I wasn't alone. "This is you showing up here," I said. "With her. In my cabin. On Christmas Eve." "It's not your cabin," he snapped, then caught himself like he'd forgotten the script. "I mean it is, but, come on. We did this together." "We didn't. I bought this place before Daniel and I even met. A little A-frame up in northern Michigan, 2 hours from where we lived in Grand Rapids. My granddad left me a small inheritance after he passed, and I used all of it plus a shaky loan to get this cabin. Back then I was 30, still a nurse at the county hospital, and I needed a place to breathe that wasn't my apartment where the neighbors fought through the walls every night. I fixed it up on my days off. I learned to patch drywall from YouTube. I slept on a thrift store mattress in a sleeping bag because I was too proud to ask anyone for help. Daniel came later. He came with his soft voice and his, "I'll take care of you" promises right when my mom got sick and my credit card started filling up with co-pays, groceries, gas, all the stuff that doesn't stop just because life is hard. He made me feel like being tired wasn't a failure. He also made me feel like he was doing me a favor by staying. When the hospital cut staffing and offered buyouts, I took one. Not because I wanted to quit nursing, but because my back was shot and mom needed someone home. I started a small medical billing business from our dining table. It wasn't glamorous, but I was good at it. I turned friends into clients, then clinics. Within 3 years I had a little office downtown and a payroll that included Daniel. He'd been laid off twice from construction jobs. Always someone else's fault. Always a company that didn't see his talent. I hired him as operations manager because it kept the peace and helped with the mortgage. At first he actually tried. Then he got comfortable. Then he got resentful anyway. Men don't like being helped by their wives, not when the whole town still thinks the man is the head of the house. Last spring I found the first clue, not even dramatic. A receipt in his jeans for a hotel in Holland, a Tuesday night when he'd said he was working late on a job site. I asked him about it while we ate takeout on the couch. He shrugged and said he'd been helping a buddy who was dealing with a divorce. He didn't look me in the eye. He used to. After that, everything clicked into place so fast it felt like falling downstairs. The new password on his phone. The gym membership he never used. The way he started picking fights over nothing. My tone, my schedule, my bossy attitude. It wasn't because I was hard to live with. It was because guilt likes to dress up as anger. I didn't confront him at first. I watched. I listened. I cried in the shower so Mom wouldn't hear. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was tired, that you don't throw away 12 years over a hunch. But then I saw her name on a calendar invite that had synced to the family iPad. Tessa. Dinner. No last name. Just a heart emoji next to it like he was 16. I hired a lawyer in June quietly. I didn't want fireworks. I wanted facts. I brought bank statements, business records, the cabin deed, payroll logs. When the lawyer said, "You're in a strong position," I felt sick. Strength wasn't what I wanted. I wanted my husband back, the one who used to rub my feet while I drilled holes into plaster and tell me I was a badass. But that guy was gone. By September I had a plan, and it wasn't about humiliating him. That part was just a side effect. Back in the cabin kitchen, Tessa was hugging her coat closed like she was suddenly cold in a different way. Daniel stepped forward. "You're being dramatic. Can we talk alone?" "Nope," I said. "Talk right here." He set the wine bottle on the entry bench too hard. "You can't fire me for this. That's insane." "Already did." I pulled my phone from my pocket and opened an email, then held it up just long enough for him to see the subject line. "Termination effective immediately. You'll get your final paycheck on Friday. HR will mail your benefits notice, which you should read fast since you're about to need your own insurance." His mouth opened like he wanted to argue, then he stopped. He knew my business. He knew I didn't bluff with paperwork. "What are you doing?" Tessa whispered, more to him than to me. Her voice wasn't mean anymore. It was scared. Daniel shot her a look, and that told me everything I needed to know about how he'd sold her this story. He probably said I was some cold career wife who didn't appreciate him. He probably said we were basically over. He probably said the cabin was ours, like he earned the right to it by breathing in it on weekends. "Pack your stuff," I said to him. "Not tonight. You can drive back with her. I'm not kicking you into the snow. I'm not that person. But when you get home, take your clothes, your tools, whatever you bought yourself. Leave the rest. The house is in my name. The business is mine. And my mom's upstairs. You don't get to drag this mess through her last Christmas." He looked up then like he'd forgotten she was there. Mom was in the loft bedroom, weak from chemo, asleep with the TV on low. He loved Daniel. That almost broke me. Almost. "You're serious," he said. It wasn't a question. "Been serious for months," I said. "You just weren't paying attention." The silence after that was heavy but clean. Daniel's shoulders slumped, and for a flash I saw the boy underneath his ego, the one who was scared of being small. Then I remembered every night I stayed up doing invoices while he slept, every time he called my work little spreadsheets, every time I swallowed my pride to keep the peace. My pity dried up like water on a hot pan. He muttered something to Tessa and went to grab his duffel from the car. She lingered by the door, eyes darting around like she was trying to decide if she should apologize or run. When Daniel was outside, she looked at me. "I didn't know," she said softly. "I swear. He said you were separated." I believed she believed that. I also didn't care. "Go home," I told her. "And ask yourself why a grown man brings you to his wife's cabin on Christmas Eve. That's not love. That's a show." Her face crumpled in a way that surprised me. She nodded once and slipped out into the dark. Daniel came back in, grabbed his coat off the hook and stood there like he wanted a hug, a talk, a loophole. I didn't give him one. When the door closed behind him, I locked it and leaned my forehead against the wood. My knees finally trembled, but I didn't fall. I listened to their car crunch down the snowed-in drive until the sound was gone. Upstairs, Mom called my name, sleepy and thin. "Honey. Everything okay?" I walked up the ladder steps, wiped my eyes with my sleeve and sat on the edge of her bed. The room was warm, lit by the tiny tree we decorated with paper stars because that's what we could afford. She looked at me like she already knew. "He left?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "He's gone." She took my hand. Her skin was dry and soft, her grip weak but sure. "I'm sorry, baby." "Me too," I whispered, and I meant it in a different way than she thought. We sat there for a while just breathing. I stared at the old quilt she'd made when I was a kid, all uneven squares and love stitched into it. I thought about how I used to think revenge had to be loud. That it had to look like a movie scene with yelling and broken plates. But the truth was quieter. Revenge was me choosing myself without begging. Revenge was me not letting his mess take one more inch of my life. Revenge was this cabin holding steady while everything else shook. Later, after Mom fell back asleep, I went downstairs, poured the wine he brought into the sink and watched it swirl away. I turned on the little radio and let a low jazz station fill the room. I ate a grilled cheese over the stove because I was hungry and because life doesn't stop for heartbreak. Around midnight I stepped onto the porch. The snow had softened into a gentle fall. The woods were still. The sky looked like black velvet. I felt the cold bite my cheeks and thought about how scary tomorrow would be. The calls, the paperwork, the gossip. People would take sides. Some would say I was cruel. Some would finally admit they'd seen it coming. I couldn't control any of that. What I could control was my next breath. My next choice. The way I'd stop shrinking to fit someone's fragile pride. Inside my phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Mariah. You good? I saw Daniel's truck heading down 131. You want me to come up? I stared at it, surprised by how fast word traveled even in the snow. Then I smiled, not because I was okay but because I wasn't alone. Yeah, I typed back. Come tomorrow if you can. Bring those cinnamon rolls you make. She replied with a heart and a badly spelled, on my way in the morning. I went back inside, checked Mom's meds and turned off the lights one by one. Before I climbed the ladder to bed, I touched the cabin wall, the smooth wood I'd sanded years ago, with my hands raw and hopeful. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired, sad and steady in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. I knew there would be hard days. I knew I'd miss parts of him even after I hated the rest. But standing there in the quiet with my mother sleeping above me and snow falling outside like a reset button, I felt something small and real take root in my chest. It wasn't joy yet. It was something tougher. It was me coming back to myself.